It is time for the best growth stocks in September 2021. We have a good one for you this month. I am really liking some of the growth stocks that I'm seeing that are coming on our radar. And look, I'll go ahead and say it. We all know that the market acts a little bit funky, right? Because it's in mid-August, there's a lot of volatility. That is normal summer shenanigans. But again, if you're going to be a long-term investor, you're going to have to deal with that. But I see volatility as an opportunity. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. Hey, I'm Luke Downey. I am co-founder of mapsignals.com. We don't follow the news, we follow the big money. So make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like this unique commentary, because we really like this and we need more people to follow and spread the word. So mash that like button. So let's go ahead and get into this. I really want to talk about some of the data that we're seeing, right? It's in the middle of August. Stuff is kind of moving around and everybody's like, what are you talking about, Luke? I see the markets are at all-time highs. Yeah, not so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking under the hood of the market. And that's what's really unique about what we do at Map Signals. And this is the big money index, okay? And I'm looking at a 1-year chart here. This blue line is basically telling us, are stocks getting bought or are they getting sold just in general? If it's heading lower like it is now, that means that there's a lot of selling going on under the surface. And obviously you can see this is the S&P 500. The blue is kind of just being held up by large companies. There's actually some selling going on, but until those big companies start to pull back, you could be having one of these divergences like we're seeing right now in our data. This is typical August stuff. You can see the same thing whenever you look at ETFs, right? So the big blue bars, that means buying in ETFs. Red bars mean selling in ETFs. And what's really cool about this is typically when you see big selling, it's near the low of the market usually. When you see big ETF buying, we tend to have a pullback shortly thereafter. So that's kind of the setup that we're in right now when we look at markets. Is like it's a little funky, it's a little whatever, and so what I do in those times is I focus on the positives. One is I've got a date night tonight, that's always good. You should invest in date night. But again, let's get back to stocks. We're going to go over the number one growth stock that I have for this month. And this is a name that I know very, very well. In fact, this has been a name in our research for a long time, and maybe you guys have heard of it. Go ahead and share my screen. And that is Align Technology. So look, when I was younger, you got braces and then you had like the stuff on your teeth. You might get the sparks would fly if you were, on a date and you kiss someone. That doesn't happen much anymore because Align Technology makes the invisible braces. And so you're like, oh, well, what about this stock? Well, the cool thing is we've been seeing a lot of big money going into the stock recently. Now, this is a year-to-date chart. And you can see earlier in the year when growth got bid, Align did really well. Then it got sold, and now you're starting to see those buyers come in. And so that's the year-to-date chart. You look at the 1-year chart, it's still got that upward trajectory. But what I like to do is look longer term. And while this chart right here is just looking at the buying and selling and nothing else, that tells you only half the story. What we try to do to take a deeper dive is also look at the quality of the company. And so we have these blue signals, which basically says, is this stock going up with big money buying? And is it a fundamentally sound company? And if it is so, give it one of these blue bars. So this is every single time that this stock was profiled, and that is a lot. That is how we find outliers in the best stocks out there. So number one is Align. It is a great name. I remember we were looking at that stock when it was back at like, $50. But again, let's go ahead, look under the hood a little bit and see if this is actually a real all-star. And so what I have here is it's a healthcare sector, and we have the two charts. It's the year-to-date chart here, like I showed you a minute ago. And then this is that chart of outlier status from 2015. So the share price is just under $700, right? I remember this thing was like a $40, $50 stock. It's insane. Market cap is 54 billion. In 1 month, it's up about 10%. Year to date, it's up about 30%. And then year to date, 8 buy signals, 1 sell signal. That lone sell signal, sometimes a sell signal is actually very bullish, right? Because when great stocks get sold, sometimes you might find that as opportunity. I know that I try to do that in my investing. Now, what's really and what makes this stock off the charts is literally how many times it had these blue bars. And that's that top 20 report that we talk about. That's your outlier report. 65 times since 2015, Align has been on there. That is insane. Very, very few companies look like that. So a lot of companies can look like this. Very few are going to look like this. Okay. Forward yield is 0. And then the 3-year earnings growth is up 130%. That is just cranking. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. And so sometimes whenever you're looking for a great growth stock and the markets are a little bit volatile like they are now, big money index is falling and people are worried and fearful, it's the summer, sometimes you got to go back to these OG growth stocks, which let's go over another OG growth stock. And that is going to be SolarEdge. So this is a cool name. It's a solar name. They do semiconductors, just has been a big time stalwart. Year to date, you see that early on it had these big buy signals, then growth got sold. So SolarEdge was part of that. You see even more here back in, this looks like this is early May, but now we're starting to see that green popping up again. And usually when you start to see one green signal, you see more, but that's just the year to date picture. You go back to 2015 and what do you see? That is the stairway to heaven. And that is a lot of blue, okay? That is how many times this stock was showcased as a top pick. That means that this stock has the fundamentals, it has the technicals, it has everything that you ultimately want whenever you're looking for a growth stock from the perspective of map signals. But let's go ahead and look under the hood and look at some of these numbers. So look, this is a technology stock, right? Share price is right around $300. I remember we showcased this stock, like we profiled it around $17. Like this has been the biggest home run stock and it just continues to get a lot of big money juice. But let me keep going. Market cap's just under $16 billion. It's about a $15 billion market cap. For 1 month, it's up 10%. Year to date, it's down about 7%. And then again, it's kind of been mixed year to date, right? Because you've got 3 buy signals and 4 sell signals. But again, we're talking about a stock that has great fundamental characteristics. It's been on this top 20 report, that outlier report, 44 times since 2015. 0 yield, it's a growth company. And the 3-year earnings growth rate is just under 14%. That is cranking. So again, that is another OG name. And look, when there's volatility, sometimes we got to go to these OG names. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. The number 3 growth stock is Illumina. Now, I actually own this one in personal accounts. It's like a genomic play. They deal with sequencing and all types of cool stuff. They were a big name a couple of years ago. Nobody really talks about them anymore, as much as I can tell, but it's starting to come back around because healthcare names are starting to get bid up. And so again, let's go ahead and look at the year-to-date chart. Lots of green signals happened earlier this year. That's whenever growth just went nuts. Didn't really do anything until, what is this? This is early June. And now we're starting to see some of those green signals, right? That just means that big money is coming to play for Illumina. Let's look back all the way to 2015 and you see a lot of that blue. So again, these aren't just fluke stocks that are showing up, that are getting bought by the big money. These are actually some amazing companies. These are companies that make a lot of money, they make and they grow their revenue. That's exactly the type of setup that we want to look for when you're looking for great growth stocks. So let's go ahead and look under the hood of this guy. It is, again, a healthcare stock. We're going to be talking about a lot of healthcare names right now because they are very strong in this tape. Share price is about $500, market cap right around $74 billion. So, this is a big mid-cap type of name. 1 month, it's up 6%. Year to date, it's up about 37%. Year to date, big money signals, 14 buys. So not once has this stock been sold. based on our data. And then how many times has it been a top 20 stock since 2015? To be an outlier, you need to have 20 of those. It's got 19, so it's almost there. It's a great company. Forward yield, 0. It's a growth name. 3-year earnings growth, though, has been skidding. It is at about 0. And so that is the one thing, if I had to ding this company for anything, it is going to be because earnings growth has suffered. But again, great companies, I believe they're great. They tend to just find ways to come back screaming better, stronger. I think that's what's going to happen. Veeva Systems. So yeah, it is another healthcare name, and Veeva Systems, I don't know if you know this name, but we have known this one for years. I mean, basically all of these that we're talking about are some OG classic growth stocks, but this is a cloud-based firm. They do software. It's for like the life sciences industry. They've been around a lot, and they are just high quality. And so let's go over, the big money real quick. So early this year, they got bid up with the growth. Then they got sold, got bid up again. Now they're saying buying. It's been quiet. But let's go ahead and look back to 2015, and you see the stairway to heaven. That is mega, mega, mega juice. That is amazing. This company has definitely been doing something right. It was a $27 stock. Now it is almost $3.40. Now we need to do what? We have to look under the hood. You can look at all the data that you want, but look, if we can't see that the fundamentals are great, then it is not going to be a great growth stock. And so let's go ahead and do this real quick. Healthcare name, share price is about $332. It's a $50 billion market cap, which I can't believe, because we started finding these companies like sub 10 billion, 5 billion. Now they're these big mammoth companies. For 1 month, it's up 3.4%. Year to date, it's up 22%. Been a volatile year to date with 3 buy signals, 4 sell signals. The 4 sell signals, they tend to clump together. We see that in our data. People get scared, they just sell them for days. But the most important thing about why this is a great growth stock is the 44 times that this stock was on the top 20 report. 44, it's a magical number, and you can see that usually when you see this blue, there tends to be higher stock prices. Forward yield is 0. 3-year earnings growth is 36%. That is incredible. And that's what you want to see whenever you're looking for great growth stocks. It's not enough to just look at the chart. You want to see fundamental numbers that are attractive, because the better the fundamentals, most likely it's going to attract the big money. So let's get into our final growth stock. Many of you have heard of this name. It is none other than Facebook. Social media giant. Literally, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I saw the was the movie about Facebook, Social Network. I thought it was really good. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it. I know I'm like many years behind on that, but anyway, really cool story. Earlier in the year, people were selling it. They didn't like Facebook, but then what happens? Great companies tend to get big money buyers. And year to date, you're starting to see a lot of big money coming into the stock. This is recent, so their last one was July 28th. But again, you want to find an outlier, you want to find amazing companies. They are going to have this stairway to heaven. They're going to have a lot of this blue, and Facebook has been one of the best growth stocks literally of the past 5+ years. I mean, this thing started showing up on this report when it was like $83. Now what, we're over 350. I mean, how you doing, right? It's Facebook. It was big back then. It's bigger today. That thing's got somewhere to be, and it's not down over the long term. So look, we like to buy into strength. That is how the big players do it. Let's talk about Facebook real quick. Technology stock, $361 share price. It is a market cap of $1 trillion with a T. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh. When they went public, what was it? $100 billion market cap? Is that a 10x right there? 1 month, it's up 3.2%. Year to date, it's up 32%. That is just That's just insane for a company of this size. Then you look at the big money, there's a lot of sell signals early on in 2021. There were 3 sell signals, 12 buy signals. So that's what you want to see. Top 20 appearances since 2015, 65 times. I mean, how many weeks did you have going back to 2015? 65 of those included Facebook being a top buy. Just insane, right? Can't be a fluke. Forward yield is 0. And then the 3-year earnings growth rate is just over 27%. So guys, there you have it. When the markets get a little bit volatile, look for some of the OG names out there, right? Some of these old school players, they are generally going to be able to handle the volatility a little bit better. And always remember, think long term. You guys have a great rest of your week. Bye.